Hey, thanks for tuning in. Please be aware we accepted a lower quality audio and video in order to bring you this episode from a remote location. This is not our standard, but rather an exception in order to bring you a unique experience. Enjoy the conversation and let's grow together. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Goaltending, where your why is bigger than your excuses. I'm your host, Will Bland, and today we have a very special episode. I'm bringing a guest to you. We're coming from a remote location in Antigua, and we're going to talk a little bit about, obstacles, how you overcome them, dealing with adversity when it comes to facing challenges with, a small business. But first, before we get into introducing our guest, I want to say thank you for tuning in and thank you for allowing us to join your journey. The main ask is just like, share, subscribe on your listening platforms. And ultimately, if you think this information will be useful to somebody, please pass it along. If you know anybody you think would make a great guest for the show, please make a connection. Get us connected so that we can have them on and be somebody that can add value that we can learn from. But without further ado, I want to introduce you all to, incredible person, a wealth of knowledge when it comes to small businesses. I'd call him a serial entrepreneur. He started several businesses, some that we've been involved in together, and we go all the way back to high school. A longtime friend. This guy is an incredible father, husband, friend, anything you can think of. So, great wealth of knowledge. I wanted to bring him on. Joey Hopper. Welcome to Goaltending.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here.
So, what I'd like to do first is just introduce the people to you a little bit. So, tell us a little bit about the businesses you're currently operating, and then, a little bit about, what are you working on right now?
Okay. Well, mainly got two active companies. One being Junk Works. It's a junk removal and demolition company. I've had that one a little bit longer. The other one is a remodeling construction type business called Hopper Construction, working on full basement additions for you and full flips and rehabs that we've got going on, simple bathroom remodels and kitchens, and just a little bit of anything when it comes to remodeling. So those are the two active companies right now. I've got my hands in 4 or 5 other things, but those are the two busy active pieces right now.
Okay, all right. So the big thing, like, one of the main reasons, I wanted to have you on the show, and where I think that we can really learn from you is facing adversity. I know through our time together, we faced some struggles. We've had some businesses we've closed down that didn't work out.
Yep.
I know you face daily challenges with the active companies you have. So I wanted to dive into those a little bit. Let's talk a little bit first about some of your current obstacles, challenges that you're facing in your businesses.
Man, it's hard to figure out where to start, to be honest with you. Doing this kind of stuff, you really have to have thick skin, and you have to have the stomach for it. It's definitely a roller coaster. There's a lot of good highs. I mean, we're sitting in Antigua, but there's a lot of lows, and that's really the part, fighting through those and understanding why you're doing it, and really helps you get through it. I think one of the biggest that I'm facing, I've had my own company since 2019 now, so I'm going on my 3rd, 4th year. I think one of the biggest things I've faced is cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to fund the next project. I got into remodeling for people because there was a lot of contractors that would screw homeowners over. Take their 50% deposit and then never see them again. And I've got a bigger heart than that, and try to take care of people, and so I've set my company up like that, where I don't take money up front. I take it in as progressions through the project.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that, I still have employees to pay, I still have subcontractors to pay, I still have materials to go purchase. So that's been one of the biggest hurdles, is trying to figure out that sweet spot between building trust with a customer I just met, while also having enough money in the project to fund the project. I'd say that's one of the biggest things right now that I'm facing.
There's a piece of that I love that you said, because I've heard a lot of other entrepreneurs talk about it, and that's the roller coaster
Yeah.
of being an entrepreneur, of working a business, and really of life, because we have our highs, we have our lows, and if I remember the right way they said it, there was somebody that talked about you gotta ride your highs and survive your lows. Yeah. It's like a wave.
Yeah, and it's not even daily. It's like hourly. It's insane. You can have the best hour you've had in a year, and then one phone call, you're right back down.
Boom.
It's insane. But
well, so absolutely, and I love that analogy for describing it, because it definitely is a roller coaster. So back into your problem. So how do you what's your current process for kind of planning for how you approach, staying ahead of your cash flow? What's that process look like for you? How much time are you able to put into, planning to stay ahead?
I think the easier way, there's a couple different ways. I think the easiest way that a lot of contractors do is just taking money up front. And I've kind of teetered with that a little bit to see if I want to do it, how I want to do it. I think there's a sweet spot in there somewhere. And it depends on the project. A large, 50, 60, $100,000 project has different pay scales than a simple bathroom job or something. So it's just, I don't have an answer today. It's just trying to try different things and see what works for me, but also works for the customer. I'm trying to do things that are different. I don't want to be the same guy that comes in and just replaces. I mean, I'm remodeling the bathroom, but I'm trying to do things different and trying to take care of my customers, show them that I'm there for them. I'm going to get the job done for them, build that trust. But again, I have a company to run. I have employees to pay. The other side would be credit, pulling a line of credit somewhere. I'm hesitant with that. I just don't want to get down that road until I have to. So that's the other side. But I'm trying to figure my part of it out before I go down that road.
Okay. And so a piece in there, and hopefully I didn't miss it, but how much time do you typically put into trying to plan for that category of business? I know it can be hard to break down, because there's times where some days you get a little more time to put into it, and others where you don't. Yeah. But what would you kind of estimate as the time that you put toward planning, preparing, and taking action toward that challenge?
Well, I think that kind of leads into your original question, was what kind of struggles do you face daily? And I would say, aside from cash flow, the other side, and I'll get back to that question, the other side would be running 100 miles an hour and not finding the time to take a step back and reorganize, restructure, figure out what you're missing on.
Yeah.
And, it's like you're 100 miles an hour on the highway, and you can't always get over and slow down for a minute. And, it's hard. It's very hard. I got payroll every Friday. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. It doesn't matter if I take a step back and reevaluate. Payroll's coming. The materials are coming. So that's been the hardest part. And in the past, I haven't had a lot of time to sit down and plan and, what's best. But right now, as the new year comes in and I'm trying to figure out how to make my companies better, I'm trying to pull away sometimes and allow myself to sit back and allow for that time to where I can sit down and think about it. And okay, this would work best. This, just have a second to think.
Yeah.
And that's just hard to do sometimes.
So I want to use that as a segue into a topic I love to bring up when we can, and that's the first part of the intro. You being a father and a husband, on top of running and balancing these businesses, and time being that challenge.
Yeah.
One part I left out is Joey is actually also my brother-in-law. So we have the opportunity to plan for and go on vacations together, see a lot. And you do a great job of, being a presence in your kids' lives. So how do you handle balance with the time struggles of work, with, the making some time for your wife, Nicole, and balancing time with the kids?
It's extremely difficult. It's probably the single hardest thing I have to do. And it's not, it's not as simple as setting priorities. My family's the priority. The companies can drop dead tomorrow. My family's the priority.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to eat, and we have, amongst ourselves, we have goals that we want to hit, and my companies are how we're going to get there. So it's never a balance that you figure out. It's just something you try for every day. And there's some times where, we're getting low on the cash flow side, so I have to focus more on the company. And my wife's good about saying, hey, you've been gone a couple nights. Why don't you just be home tomorrow? And having a good partner is very good with that. Kind of checks and balances, keep it straight. But I think that goes back to goals. As I see how my life shakes out with running these two companies and everything else, and my kids being the age they are, we try to set make sure I'm home, 3 or 4 evenings a month. Or I'm sorry, a month, Jesus, a week, 3 or 4 evenings a week. That way, I have some time with them, but also I have evenings where I can go and do some things. I try to work every other weekend and be home those weekends. Sometimes I've tried to not work Sundays and just every other Saturday. It's very fluid, and you're always trying to figure it out. And special events, I use my calendar a lot. I try to put that in the calendar, and when a job comes in, I can't put it on that day. It has to be the next day.
Yeah.
And another thing, I'm upfront with my employees and my customers. I'm very, very keen on family time. With them, I'll give them time off. I don't care. Go do what you need to do. And with my customers, hey, can you work Saturday? No, I'm hanging out with my family. Me being upfront with them, saying, I need some family time, I feel like builds that trust and, sets the tone for who I am. I'm not just about their job. I got some family stuff to do. I'll see you Monday.
Yeah.
So
there's a couple pieces that I love in there too, because tell me if you disagree, but from what I heard, I think we're on the same page that communication is key to success in the business and your relationship. Because what I heard in there is Nikki will tell you, hey, you've been gone a couple nights, it's time to come home.
Yeah.
And so there's two parts of that. There's the, she's letting you know, she's communicating it to you, and then you processing that, you hearing it, and then taking the time. And I say that communication piece is key in every category, every aspect of life. But then the other piece is dealing with the balance in your schedule and understanding that we can make a plan all we want, but we still have those unexpected obstacles. So you talked about we say that we want to have 3 to 4 nights a week together, but then boom, you get hit with something unexpected in a job, or something comes up with the kids, or the kids are sick, or somebody needs to go to the hospital for something. Whatever it is, everyone can relate to those unexpected things, which makes it very difficult to plan.
Yeah.
And that's where another thing that you'll probably always hear me talk about and bring up is being flexible and adaptable.
Yeah.
Because it's not always going to be picture perfect, right?
Yeah.
So since we're already here talking about some personal life, the fact that we do go on some trips together, I'd say we could almost look at planning for a family vacation even as a goal that you would plan for and approach and work toward.
Yeah.
So what are some key pieces when it comes to that? Like looking at how we plan around the businesses, the family, arranging the travel, saving and budgeting to have the money for vacation.
That part's tough because this trip, I wasn't quite ready for. Mentally, I'm absolutely ready to get here. But it's financially, goes back to the cash flow thing. It's hard for me to be away from my guys. It's kind of a weird, week and a half kind of that we're traveling, but it's 2 weeks of work.
Right.
So that's 2 weeks where I have to make sure my guys are staying busy. We have plenty of work for them, but make sure there's enough materials on the job sites. Not really knowing, cell service and everything out here, making sure that I can still communicate with the guys and keep them going. Yeah, I mean, it's just tough on every level because I'm not quite to the point where my companies run themselves. I've got some very good employees that can help with that, but again, you still need the materials for the job sites. I still have to make sure the guys are getting paid. From a personal level, it's kind of the same thing. Making sure that I have enough money to keep my bills going, have enough money on the job on the vacation that we can keep moving,
Right.
And get home and everything's fine. It's a juggling act. It's all it is. It's constantly just like finding the balance with schedule and time. You're just finding that balance between money and personal time and everything, and being here, trying to spend as much time I can with the family, but also knowing at the same time, I have 2 small businesses to run.
Yeah.
So I have to have time to work on the computer and do things, and having, again, going back to the partner, having a wife and family that's very understanding of that and like-minded. They know that has to happen because most of them are doing it themselves too.
And I want to point out there because there's so many levels of this, and I'm loving the conversation about it. So there's a lot of times people just see what's on the surface.
Yeah.
You can see some pictures of a family in Antigua like having a great vacation. Oh wow,
Yeah.
They're doing great. You don't always see the struggle, the work that's being done behind closed doors. We show up here on Thursday, Friday, like he said, he's sitting in the room getting payroll processed.
Yeah.
It's not always pretty, but life is about the journey. I mean, you put the work in. Sometimes there's going to be struggles, but it's about your mindset and how you face those struggles and how you overcome those obstacles and still live the best and most fulfilled life that you can live. Would you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that goes back to the purpose. Why do I go on vacation and get my computer out? I'm trying to build something for myself, but my family and the guys that work with me, the employees and the subcontractors, and I'm trying to build stuff for all of us. So that means I have to come down here and do it.
Right.
And then once you find that purpose, you don't mind anymore. It's not a drag. It's either, Thursday was either go to the beach or run payroll, and I have to run payroll.
Yeah.
If not, I'm gonna have 6 guys that are looking at me not very happy. So but it's not a drag anymore.
Right.
I'm not just working. It's you find that purpose with it, and that's why I ride the roller coaster. That's why you survive. That's what gets you out of the low times is the high times. Because you know what you're going for, and you do it right. You try to make the right decisions, you get the right people around you, and that roller coaster gets less dramatic over time. I feel like.
Oh man, this is great. So there's already so many applicable pieces that the listeners can apply in their journeys. We can't have a conversation without bringing up our first venture together.
Froyo.
So I was at the time I was going through my MBA program at the University of Louisville, and we hear about this franchise. It's a frozen yogurt robot. I don't know that we say I don't know that we say the company's name, but either way, there's a franchise opportunity that it seemed like a low barrier to entry. It was something affordable for us where we could put the initial investment in and be able to get something that was fairly seamless, only required maybe work on it like once a week or so. And then we would be able to just collect the money from it. So it seemed kind of like, a passive income opportunity. It all sounded great on the surface.
Always does.
The company was across the country from us. And we tried to do our due diligence. We went and
we drove to Columbia, South Carolina for the Discovery Day at the manufacturer's facility. So we spent like a weekend down there looking at everything. I mean, it was a big name manufacturer. It wasn't it wasn't necessarily a scam. It just wasn't a well-run company.
Right.
But yeah, we went to South Carolina, checked out everything, loved the product. Even now, the company's run bad, but the product was amazing. And loved everything they were about. They had some history, some ups and downs, but a lot of good things going. And then, you know, the four of us, both of us and our wives, flew to San Diego, spent 4 or 5 days, I think.
Yeah, they're like onboarding process.
Yeah, went through it all. So.
And we go through it all. And I think a big learning piece for me is we put a lot of maybe too much trust and confidence in the things that they promised that would be delivered. So it was, their promise was that we would have our first unit and location secured within 3 months. I believe it was.
Yeah, something.
And we relied on that. We did plan for more, and time rolls around. 3 months gets there, and we still don't have a location set up. So that's 3 months of expenses that we've incurred, have paid our initial franchise fees, but we still have no income coming in because we haven't got our unit yet. And then another month passes, and another month passes. I think we're probably 6 months in,
easily.
And we reach a point where we're like, "Hey guys, we did our part on this side. We've done our training. We've got our money in. It's time to deliver." And they actually ended up filing bankruptcy. It put us in a situation where we weren't able to get the money back we had invested. So it was I love listening to Dave Ramsey. He calls things like that, I think a stupid tax.
Yeah.
So we paid a stupid tax. Is there anything from that scenario that'd be something I'd consider a failure, but I love having the win or learn mentality?
Yeah.
So what are your takeaways from that? What did you learn from our experience with that pursuit?
Well, stuff like that, I always try to go back and self-evaluate. What could I have done different? And even now, I don't know what we could have done. We did everything to the T in the contract, through the process. I guess we could have vet the company better, but that we saw a lot of good things in the company. They weren't just new people that came out of the woodwork and started doing things. They had a history with the vending machines, and it's. I guess that one is hard to really pinpoint a lesson learned. For me.
Okay.
It's. I think the biggest thing, kind of what we've talked about in the past, is being a little more leery on franchises. I think would be my biggest take. There's obviously good franchises out there, but just being more leery on the newer ones, the ones that aren't. You don't see 100 different stores out, and just vetting them better, finding a better process, or start with your own product.
Oh yeah. So I definitely agree. There are good franchises out there. This one didn't work out. We did a lot of vetting in the process. I think a thing that I focused on there is that maybe we put too much over-reliance in an external factor. Yeah. And one of the things that I always like to, when it comes to mentality, is focus on what you can control. Now, we did a lot of that in this process, but it did make me think, if I'm going to pursue a business, or we're going to pursue a business, I think it has to be something where you have more control of the controllables. Yeah. Now, yes, there's going to be the more challenges, more obstacles, things you have to figure out on your own. The great thing about a franchise is that they have processes in place that they share with you, that they teach you already. In this case, they were still pretty early on, even though they had some proven track record. And so we were, paying for those processes, but they were still trying to figure them out. Yeah. And I think that's where, we got into that, but it made me think, for future pursuits, try to keep more within control. Now, obviously, there's going to be external factors.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think now that you've said that, I've kind of tried to put that into my companies, try to control more of the processes through my companies. And I guess because of lessons learned there that I didn't really think about. Looking back at that, we probably could maybe structure the contract different and tried to, instead of paying what we paid up front, do it as like I'm doing now, as progression. I see you do this, cool, I'll pay you this. They were a bigger fish than us, so they might not have even went with it, but there's lessons learned in all of it.
Oh yeah. Outside of that, now I can't remember. Have there been any other pursuits that you maybe started toward and then put to the side once you reevaluated or pivoted in terms of like starting with something but realizing that maybe there was a better way to go or something different that you could create from it?
Yeah. So this conversation could be long, so I'll try to condense it as much.
We've got a little time. I mean, we've got a little bit.
So my first company, well, aside from what we were doing, the first company that I owned was a blasting demolition company.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I bought the company in 2019. We've been around the company since 2016. The company had 2 employees, a small company based right outside of Pittsburgh. The company had 2 employees, which we were very, very close with and considered family. And I was a vendor for this company for the years prior, and it became available, and we were actually traveling again, and we were actually in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and they called and said, hey, the owner, very short notice, this was like 2 days after Christmas, said, the owner's closing this company down, and we have until the 1st to either find a buyer or, we're out.
Mm-hmm.
So we left Gatlinburg, drove to Northeast Ohio, and sat down at their house and figured out how to buy the company. Financially, the company had a lot of good things that it was going towards.
Yeah.
What ruined the company was COVID, and we had a lot of work, in 2020 that we were supposed to get, but COVID came through and just shut jobs down. And again, going back to cash flow, I don't have deep pockets to keep, you pay $18,000 a month in insurance for that company. Not very many people that keep that going without having work.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
A whole lot of lessons learned in that company. I don't regret buying the company at all. It cost a lot of money financially, but those are lessons that I paid for.
Right.
So I don't regret going that, because that got me started and where I am today. So kind of speed up a little bit. That company, as COVID and everything happened, the blasting jobs were down. We said, okay, what are we good at? We're good at tearing stuff down, figuring out how to tear stuff down safely. So we transitioned into houses and barns and sheds, and, that kind of stuff, more locally. The blasting stuff we're doing was across the country. So more localized demolition, and then that also transferred into just junk removal. We had the dump trailers and stuff, and it fits together very closely. And then after a while, we had to stop the heavy bleeding with the company, and we had to kind of do away with the blasting side. At that point in time, I didn't want the blasting and demolition name to it was just a different brand. So closed that company down and rebranded into Junk Works, what we do today. So that was, and during that time, there was another company. When I bought the blasting company, it was with the intention, because I had another full-time job at that time. I was a vice president of another large, mid-sized company. My intention was just to own the company, and it kind of run itself. I would go to the job sites and help out, be a set of hands, but the company would just kind of operate itself, and we would do administrative work. So I no longer worked at the other company that I had a full-time position of, and so then I started a drone and marketing company, and so that was in early 2020, I believe. So my intention was to kind of hit both, focus on the blasting side when I had to, but then just run the drone marketing side when I need full time, and so that was the intention. But as COVID and everything hit the same year, I welcomed my first baby right in the middle of COVID, both babies, but the first one came, and we kind of had to reevaluate. And I had to take that step back because the blasting company was hurting so bad.
Yeah.
I couldn't stay over here while it suffered. So I had to, take my attention off of the marketing drone side, put it back in the demolition, and that's why, that the marketing stuff I enjoy. It's probably one of the things I enjoy the most when it comes to actually doing the work. But I've had to just build up the other side, and I've had such good success with it. I like to believe that I've just continued to grow it. I'm trying to grow it into a company to where it has its operators. It can be ran daily. That I don't have to focus on it, and maybe one day get back to the marketing and drone side and build that up again.
And I want to point a few things that I pick up in this story is like steps in the process and literally real life example of how you implement them. Because what I heard is, with the blasting company, you were using step 5. You were reviewing and refining your process, and when you recognize that this is bleeding a lot of money, you looked at what you had, and you had the junk removal going, and was like, okay, this piece is doing well, this is not. So you reviewed and refined, and went all the way back to step 2, where you're looking at what do I currently have, what kind of knowledge, skills, and resources do I have? And you said, well, we've got these trucks that we can use toward the junk removal, toward our next venture. So you were able to take skills, knowledge, resources that you already had, go back to step 2, go into the next business. And you talk about COVID and then having kids as unexpected obstacles. And I don't want to call kids an obstacle. So I don't mean that in a negative way, but maybe I know for at least one of your kids, it was a little unexpected. And nobody was planning for COVID. So you get these unexpected things, and the thing is you didn't quit. You said, okay, now we're in a new environment. Okay, now we have new things we have to face. I make this adjustment in this business. I make this adjustment here. I use this resource over here. So I just want to point those things out in the just real life implementation of the 5-step process at its finest, because it's literally all there.
I mean that kind of goes back to purpose too, and not quitting through that roller coaster. I mean, COVID. A lot of people had it much worse than me, so I'm not saying I had it the worst, but having 2 kids during COVID and trying to start 2 businesses during COVID wasn't fun. But again, why do you keep doing it? When it's just me, there's a lot of motivation to be successful. When I get married, there's some more. But when you have kids, it just takes on a whole new level of motivation. Because I can't tell them that I quit. You can't have a conversation with them. So you have to push through. You have to figure out how to do it. We all thought COVID's going to last forever, but there's an end to the hardships. I feel like that. At least that's what gets me going. Keeps me going. This is going to get better. I just have to get there. So,
and I think we can a piece that goes back to step 1. It is finding your why, and what you can use as motivation in the pursuit of your goal. And I think you just said it. Your kids. I'm not going to tell my kids that I quit, that I gave up. I'm building this for them. I feel the same way with my kids. So I'm right there with you. It's all about finding what is your why and motivation. And it's the same for me. Mine is the kids. Mine is building something that they can be proud of, building a legacy, something that I can pass down to them. And to help other people to do the same. To do the best that they can do in their lives, to find that why, to find that motivation, so that they can apply it in their own journey.
That's very important to me. Is building up the team around me, whether it's employees in the company or people that I want to put really close to me to help me achieve my goals. I don't want to just hire employees and have them come in and punch a clock and go home and just dread coming to work the next day. That's why I've tried to build my company up. Pay the guys well, treat them right, and so they enjoy working with me. And I feel like that's actually one of the things I'm good at is getting, get some good people around me, but then treat them right.
Yeah.
And that's very important to me. Because I want, again, I tell people, you don't have to apologize for calling saying, hey, my kid's sick today. What are you apologizing for? That's the kind of tone. There's a lot of people that have, go into a company that have to feel like they walk on eggshells on asking for time off or sick time. And no, you want time off, just call me. And there's, my wife and I have this conversation too, and there's a lot of things in that process that can be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And I acknowledge that.
That's true.
And it happens.
Yeah.
But there's so much more good, I think, that comes out of being a people person, a people first person. And it's on all my websites. It's on, I would tell every customer I have, I'm employees first. Employees, then customers, then profits. That might be why I'm having a cash flow problem. But that's very important to me.
Yeah.
And,
well, no, I've heard other people before say, take care of your employees so that they'll take care of your customers.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with that process at all. This is just a fantastic conversation. We're hitting some incredible highlights, like great information that people can learn from and apply to their journey. But I don't want to keep it going all day.
Yeah.
So I want to hit a couple more things to get us there. Is there anything that I haven't asked about, a piece of your journey, what you're working toward, a learning point? Is there anything I haven't asked today that you want to maybe share that you think could be useful in terms of a challenge you faced or an obstacle you've overcome, or just something to think about that can help other people relate to in their journey?
I think we kind of skimmed on it earlier, is, running 100 miles an hour. Kind of going through your process with this goaltending and, hearing that stuff. I don't take the time. I haven't taken the time to sit down and set goals. Let me back up a little bit. I have set goals for my company. What I haven't done is initiated the process. I can write them down on paper all day long.
Mm-hmm.
We can all write down, I want to retire in 10 years. But how do you do it? Okay, I want to do this, but how do I get my company there? And that's what I haven't really taken the time to sit down and do, because I'm running 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get off work so I can see my kids for a couple hours. As soon as they go to bed, I'm working on the computer till 1 a.m. and then 4 hours of sleep, and then it happens again. So just trying to find, that would be my advice, would be do anything you can to set time aside to think about your company and work on your company. That's been my hardest thing, is I'm so busy working in my company, I'm not working on my companies. And again, it's hard. It's not always as easy as just hiring an employee to fill my position so I can back out. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of finding the good person and training. And so as hard as it is, that would be my advice. To do everything you can to work on your company as much as possible.
I love it. Man, we literally hit every step in the process today. And I think what we're talking about here is steps 1 through 3 is where you're writing your plan down. That's where you're doing your planning. And a lot of times we don't take the time to put into planning or to put it down on paper. But that's the easy part. Even if we take that little bit of time, and it's not to say that any one step is any more important than another one, but step 4, when it comes to taking action, we don't always know where to start. There's days where you're hit with challenges, and what you plan to take action toward ends up getting put to the side or rearranged or adjusted. But I really just I want to emphasize that step 4, step 5, you have to be taking that action. You have to be reviewing, going back to your plan, and it's so much easier said than done. But when you can break it down incrementally to, it's still never going to be perfect. You're still going to get hit with those things that are, unexpected, that you couldn't possibly plan for. And you tackle it. You do your best you can to take action toward whatever's come up, to readjust your plan, and get back on track.
Yeah.
The main thing is that you learn from it, that you don't quit, that you keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think two little things I'd like to add in is one, for me, having more of a laid back personality, I roll with the flow a lot easier than a lot of people. But being okay with plans changing, goals changing, stay fluid with it because life changes. Yeah. And I tell customers and employees, every day my schedule changes 6 or 7 times, and it's insane and it's hard to keep up with. And but that would be one thing is stay fluid with it. Then the other is, for me personal, would be to set aggressive goals. If you have a goal in 5 years to make $100,000 a year, set it for 1 year. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're not going to hit it. There's a good chance, and Elon Musk even talked about it, love or hate him. He talks about if you set a goal up like that at 1 year, you're probably going to be a lot closer to that goal than if you set it 5 years away. Because 5 years away, yeah, I can start on tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hit this year. There's next year. When it's right there, right in front of you, looking at you, that's what I've tried to do. Just get aggressive with goals and be okay if you don't hit them. Just know, kind of reevaluate again and push it a little bit further. Okay, I didn't make it here, but I'm going to make it there.
And this is what I learned from it.
Yes, and here's how I can do it.
Yeah. I love it. So I was gonna ask you, for 1 or 2 keys to success, and you just went right into it.
Yeah.
Man, that's fantastic. Joey, thanks so much for joining today. Truly,
I'm glad to see what you're doing. You're killing it, and this is something that I've missed in my daily life. Like I said, setting goals up is the easy part. It's how knowing the process and how do I initiate these to make my company better. And so you've helped me. In the seminar I went to that you taught in, and through this stuff has taught me ways that I can make my companies better. So very happy to do it.
Thanks again, taking the time, being here, sharing your story, because there's so much in there for people to learn from, to connect with, resonate with. Thank you all for tuning in, letting us be a part of your journey. Please like, subscribe, join the conversation on any platform that you're listening to. We're on social media. We should be on every major podcast platform. Visit our website. It's goalswithwill.com. Very easy. And tell your friends and family, this is great information that can help people in their lives. Joey, can you tell them, is there anywhere people can find you? What's the best way to connect?
I would say the biggest way is LinkedIn. Be more, Facebook page is kind of bounces between personal and business stuff. But Junk Works, Hopper Construction, both on Facebook. But Joey Hopper on LinkedIn probably be the best way to connect with me.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, thank you all again. Thanks for joining the conversation, and let's grow together.